Colbert's show has been canceled. It's great. Great news, is it not?
This is incredible on so many levels, and I'm going to call him on this for the Mail. But so I was reading. This is such a New York Times way to cover it. So they talked to this guy in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, who was out having dinner and got the alert on his phone that the Colbert show has been canceled, and he sprung up like he was Batman getting the bat signal.
CBS just canceled The Late Night with Stephen Colbert, just days after Colbert took a swing at his own network for settling with Trump. Listen.
This kind of complicated financial settlement with a sitting government official has a technical name in legal circles. It's big fat crime.
Stephen Colbert's show didn't just get canceled, it got steamrolled. And when the wreckage settled, Megyn Kelly and Jesse Waters arrived not with sympathy, but with shovels. They didn't roast it, they dismantled it. What unfolded was a no-holds-barred deconstruction of a once relevant stage that had become a parody of itself, propped up by recycled punchlines, smug commentary, and an audience conditioned to clap on cue. If you thought late-night TV was already on life support, this was the unplugging of the machine.
He's a terrible man. I really think he's just not a good guy. I mean, he completely took that show, which was a great sort of platform in nighttime television, and the Ed Sullivan Theater, and completely drove it into the ground. He had originally been at Comedy Central, where he was more comedy. And when he moved over to CBS, he decided to be more pundit. He desperately wanted to be Keith Olbermann. And guess what? Keith Olbermann is a failure. And now so are you, Stephen Colbert.
Oh man, the ratings tanked. Letterman averaged nearly 3 million in his final year. And today, Colbert is only averaging a little over 2 a night. This show is seen by close to 4 million a night. Now the left's favorite late night mainstream mouthpiece has been let go.
This is what it looks like when Smug gets evicted from its primetime penthouse. Colbert wasn't hosting a comedy show, he was running a personality cult in a laugh track disguise. And the punchline. It took executives way too long to realize they were still airing reruns of Self-Importance. Ratings didn't just fall, they collapsed under the weight of audience fatigue. America got tired of watching someone confuse sarcasm for substance and applause for relevance.
By this, and he's not really sure how to go after Vice President Harris. He knew his attack lines on President Biden. He really has struggled with how to go after someone who's 20 years younger than him, who is a different gender, a different race. It's kind of been this moment where he has not been able to coalesce around a single attack line.
I know you guys are objective over there, that you just report the news as it is. Oh, I know. CNN makes it, and I know.
Is that supposed to be a laugh line?
I wasn't supposed to be, but I guess it is.
Unbelievable.
Megyn Kelly entered the takedown like a prosecutor walking into a trial she'd been preparing for since the pilot episode. She didn't show up with a script, just years of receipts. She shredded what was left of Colbert's credibility with surgical efficiency, treating his greatest hits like relics from a time no one missed. She exposed the hollow monologues, the fake outrage camouflaged as comedy, and the trained seal clapping that passed as an audience reaction.
Appearance on Stephen Colbert last night was next level. He's so gross. Gross. I remember the Stephen Colbert who tried to just make us laugh, who was like kind of fun, and who, while we always knew he was leftist, didn't realize he hated the other half of the country.
Then Jesse Waters joined the fray. If Megyn dissected the body, Jesse dropped the wrecking ball. He didn't just mock Colbert, he flambeed him in sarcasm, seasoned him with irony, and served the remains as a cautionary tale, labeled "This is what happens when ego replaces charm." Colbert wasn't brought down by politics or network meddling. His fall came courtesy of his own reflection, a mirror that eventually shattered under the weight of its own pretense.
Fox News alert breaking right now. Word of a major breach of security on Capitol Hill. At least 7 people who work for the comedian Stephen Colbert were arrested and jailed last night for breaching the Capitol building. Here's what we know right now. Capitol Police were called around 8:30 p.m. Thursday night for a disturbance at the Longworth House office building. These individuals, who we've confirmed work for The Late Show, were seen roaming the building while it was closed to visitors.
By the final seasons, Colbert's show wasn't comedy. It was an echo chamber with a laugh track. Punchlines were whispers. Monologues became lectures. Guests were glorified scenery. He didn't deliver jokes, he handed out moral lessons thinly, disguised as humor. The whole production started to feel like someone giving a TED Talk about irony without having a clue how to deliver it.
Well, Colbert went out there and cried. Do we have him ripping on it? I don't think we have that. But anyway, he went on there recently and he ripped on his own employer for this settlement. And that's why the left is like, oh, the optics are terrible. Like, this was clearly just like they fired Colbert to satisfy Trump. Number one, if that's true, you can put another feather in Trump's cap for doing something great and making America great again, okay? Number two, there's zero proof to that effect whatsoever. And Sherry Redstone, who is the head of CBS, has known that Colbert is a chief Trump antagonist and that Trump hates Colbert since the beginning of Colbert and Trump as, dual public figures.
Megyn walked through the show's remains like someone calling out the emperor's lack of clothes. She said what most were thinking but stopped saying. Colbert wasn't funny. He was trendy. And once that trend faded, so did the laughter. She exposed his evolution from clever satirist to political mascot, someone who mistook outrage for timing and applause signs for laughter. Jesse, meanwhile, stood over the smoldering ashes and asked the only question left. Who was this even? For Colbert didn't just lose the plot. He gave it away. Swapped it for index cards, laugh cues, and celebrities more detached from reality than ever.
You look at this.
There are quite a few billionaires who support you. You are from Northern California, after all, where they grow them in fields out there. Who's your favorite billionaire? Because we all have a favorite billionaire. On three. 1, 2, 3. Oprah. I'm sorry. I claimed Oprah. You can't take her now.
What's happened to him is what happens to virtually every news personality and late night personality and host of popular shows, podcasts, etc., which is they start getting invited to parties with Jennifer Aniston.
Megyn didn't miss the root cause. Either she traced the show's decay to when Colbert stopped entertaining and started performing for approval. Approval from who? Elitist media, activist circles, his own curated conscience. It's anyone's guess. But the shift was obvious. The guy who once got laughs across the aisle became the guy who only got claps from people desperate to look enlightened. Jesse said the show felt more like interpretive performance art from a grad student than comedy. Colbert danced with cartoon syringes and quoted COVID stats like he was auditioning for a CDC musical.
I'll tell you something else. This just hit from reporter Matt Bellany, founding partner of Puck News and formerly Hollywood Reporter. The timing and optics, he says, are terrible for the Colbert cancellation. Not true, not true, not true. The timing and optics are perfect. Only leftists think that the timing and optics are terrible because they think somehow this was retaliatory because Stephen Colbert was ripping on CBS for entering into that $16 million settlement with Donald Trump, who was suing them over the 60 Minutes Kamala Harris interview and the edited clips, claiming it was a deceptive practice under Texas law.
The guest roster, a rotating cast of subportents, outdated actors, protest song musicians, influencers masquerading as thought leaders, all nodding along to watered-down punchlines and half-baked ideology. Jesse nailed it. When the loudest laughs come from therapy disguised as humor, it's not a talk show anymore, it's a support group. The hypocrisy was less hidden and more featured, right next to the celebrity cameo.
Appointed as his heir. Despite Colbert making a name for himself as a partisan cable news comedian, the country was told he'd be a host for all Americans.
Obviously, the character he does on Comedy Central is going to be ending, but then he's going to bring Stephen Colbert to the table. And we have no question, this guy is so talented that, the persona of Stephen Colbert is going to work so well in late night. It's going to be original, it's going to be smart, it's going to be different than what anybody else has.
George Clooney and Jeb Bush were the guests of his first show. But things got a lot worse after Trump beat Hillary. Colbert caught a wicked case of TDS and he never recovered. He went off the deep end during...
And let's not forget the sketches. Wait, we already did. Because they were forgettable. Jesse joked he'd rather face an IRS audit than watch one more scene built around cardboard. Symbolism and insider references no one outside NPR could decode. The formula got predictable. Current events mention, self-congratulatory jab, applause, then interviews with guests who looked like they'd rather be anywhere else. Late night used to cut through power, challenge norms, and punch up. Colbert turned it into an echo chamber for self-assured elites.
$1 a year for that nonsense that we just witnessed. For him to dance around with vaccine needles during the COVID pandemic, which we all knew was controversial, but no, the left had decided that they were some sort of Eucharist. And for $15 million a year on a show that's losing $40 million a year, he had to see the writing on the wall. In fact, you could make a good argument that he went out there on that Monday and did that so he would have something to point back to as why he got fired, when he knew all along his ratings were totally shitty and he didn't know how to book for late night. His guest, the last night he was on, Maureen, this is late night television. You get a Tom Cruise, right? You get The Rock. You get Julia Roberts or Sydney Sweeney. That is how you do late night TV. Look who he led with his last night on the air.
Jesse didn't waste time pretending to feel bad. He handed Colbert the check and walked out laughing. When your audience is faking laughter louder than your jokes land, the party's over. But the execs and insiders clung to the brand, ignoring the reality. Megyn circled back to drive the final nail. Colbert had everything: money, reached production, but chose to build a shrine to his beliefs instead of entertaining. Jesse summed it up perfectly. Watching Colbert chase TikTok relevance was like watching your uncle try to floss gringy and deeply scarring.
As Paramount's owners are trying to get the Trump administration to approve the sale of our network to a new owner, Skydance. Some of the TV typers out there are blogging that once Skydance gets CBS, the new owner's desire to please Trump could put pressure on late-night host and frequent Trump critic Stephen Colbert.
The network claims it was a purely financial decision, and Colbert's last show will be next spring. So, Clay, is Gutfeld now officially Trump the king of late night?
God, this is probably a really tough story for you to have to do to give Gutfeld praise.
No reboot, no second act. Just silence. The kind that fills a room after the speaker forgets people left 10 minutes ago. Colbert didn't get canceled. He faded out, drowned by his own scrutinizing. Megyn celebrated the end not just of a show, but of a trend. The fake laughs, the scripted virtue, the moral smugness, disguised as jokes, all of it cleared out, hopefully making space for something real again. Jesse joked that Colbert's next gig might involve leading meditation circles for disillusioned liberals in Vermont, and honestly, it fits.
Report here. It's not for his prelude, with which I disagree. He says, he says Colbert's show costs more than $100 million a year to produce and is losing more than $40 million a year. That's unbelievable. So net it takes in about 60. It's losing $40 million a year. He writes CBS execs had been mulling for a long time whether to pull.
Colbert may be gone, but the ripple effects are still hitting what's left of late-night TV. His downfall isn't just a footnote, it's a warning label. Megyn's already rewriting the comedy curriculum, using him as Exhibit A of what not to become. His exit wasn't just overdue, it was necessary. A cultural detox dressed up as cancellation. Jesse drove the point home. Real comedy isn't safe, scripted, or smug. It's raw, flawed, and alive. Everything Colbert forgot when he swapped satire for status. Megyn and Jesse didn't just end a show. They flipped the lights and locked the doors. And the silence that followed, it might be the funniest thing left.